welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy, and Elaine is not here. She is actually sick, so we didn't have anything recorded. Illness is kind of going around. We just celebrated Father's Day weekend, and Elaine is still sick. So she is not able to record. So we decided to play one of our older episodes from a year ago. It's almost, I don't remember when this one was published, but June 27th. So this episode we will play. It's one of our older episodes. This is episode 10, Red and a Serial Killer in Alaska. Hello, and welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
And I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime.
Woohoo!
And I'm doing the crime again. And that is because Elaine has family out of state. So she's been a little busy. And that's okay. I don't mind doing the crime.
I've been so busy. So I was funny because when I was doing my research, I was like, oh no, it's really short, but it worked out okay.
Yeah.
I've been so busy.
Yeah. Now you have. You went, to the aquarium yesterday.
Just lots of running around too.
Yeah,
and then we
shopping.
had a funeral and stuff too.
Yeah.
That was the reason for the visit. So that was first.
Yeah. The funeral was first, and then fun stuff after.
Yeah.
So
the relaxing
enjoy the trip. And this episode will actually release when my nephew's here.
Yay!
Yeah, I know. It
I
will.
hope Uncle Jack doesn't listen to this.
He doesn't listen to us.
But he wouldn't.
But it's okay because Sandra would already be here.
Oh, that's right. No,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So my nephew lives out in Germany because my husband was born and raised in Germany. So all of his mom and his sisters are out there. So all of my nieces and nephews are out in Germany. And Sandro, my nephew, he came out 5 years ago to stay with us for a while. He had just turned 15, and it's crazy now because he's gonna be 20.
And now I feel so sad because I had no idea he was here, and I was 3.5 miles away.
I know. No, and usually, we are busy. The last time he came out, Lincoln was a baby. He took his first steps when Sandro was here, and yeah, so it's just so weird to think that Sandro was the same age that Troy is now last time he came out. And so now he's almost 20. And
He's
so
an adult.
Yeah, he's an adult. He's got a job, an apartment, all that. It's just so weird. But yes, I'm excited. He'll be here for a couple weeks. So by the time this comes out, he would have been here for a week.
Yay!
Yeah, because he flies in on the 19th. So I'm so excited. And we're surprising his grandpa. So he doesn't know he's coming. And so he was like, don't tell Grandpa I'm coming. I want to surprise him and invite him over for a barbecue or something. And then just have Sandra walk out.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Exciting.
I'm really excited. It's crazy to think by the time this
Can
comes
I
out.
come?
Yes, of course. Pop on over. It's so funny the fact that we could just go back and forth to each other's houses, and even your husband's kind of knocking and all, and I'm like, no, just come in.
I just open the door.
Yeah,
as long as it's not
just
locked.
We're like, oh, we're not supposed to just walk in your house. So yes, you can come when Sandra's here. It'll be so fun. Well, I know you're going to the airport with me, so I'm not alone because we got to drive all the way out to LA. That's a long drive to LAX.
Yeah. In
traffic in the afternoon.
What time is it again?
His flight gets in at 2:35 p.m.
So we have to leave at noon.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just to make sure, just in case.
Yeah.
Because the drive back from the aquarium, I started to feel really sick and I had to go to sleep while my mom was driving because the traffic was so ridiculous. It was crazy. I mean, the distances shouldn't be that long anyway, but it's, it didn't take anywhere from a couple hours, but this was just ridiculous. And we were just tired from the day.
Yeah.
It sucked. I felt bad. I was like, are you sure? Because I usually am always the person that stays awake with her and everyone else will fall asleep. And so I was like, can I please close my eyes? I need to go to sleep. I'm sorry. And she's like, no, it's fine. I said, are you sure? I felt so bad.
It's one of those
things. It was daytime, but still.
Yeah.
Lenore had already fallen asleep.
Yeah. I get so car sick as a passenger. I have to drive everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Avery gets car sick. So Our poor girls. It's just the
They
girls.
all do.
It's
Yep,
all the girls.
the
It's not the
girls.
boys.
Nope. Scarlett does too.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that's the worst. So, anyways, well, enough about us. I mean, it is our podcast. We could do what we want.
And we will do it.
Yeah, so what? Oh, I know what you. This is like the one time we kind of vaguely know what each other's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But
what each other's is doing.
You know what I mean.
I know.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I know you're doing.
Yeah, today I'm
Another
talking
color.
about the color red, and it's actually, I'm not doing a really super deep dive because the original was for the longest time, and then it was nothing but synthetics, and that's all chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will gather some links for that part that I won't be reading at all. So if you want to see that, they will be in the sources for like the chemistry of other red colors.
Yeah, because we were talking about this. We try to keep it as interesting as possible without getting too mundane and like too detail.
Yeah,
if you're really
because-
into that, check.
Yeah,
the
I will leave
show
it
notes.
for you. I'll make sure, and if there's anything that I think is interesting that I didn't read, like I'll put that there too.
Mhm.
So, in about 15,000 BC,
Okay.
there has been found, cave drawings in the region of Spain. He's making biscuits on a backpack.
Yeah, my cat.
And it was red clay, and the red clay got that coloring from hematite.
Okay.
And so they would scrape it up and wet it and process it, and they used it for paint. And this is in the Paleolithic era.
Mm-hmm.
And they would also use it as body paint, and they covered the dead with it when they buried them. They think that the color symbolized, strength and keeping them strong. And they also believe that it was used to neutralize odor, because clay, as it is in cat litter, it's not the best, but it will. And so they think that it helped neutralize odors as well when they were buried with it. Pretty quickly, that was what was used forever, was just this type of clay.
Okay.
And then the next thing that was moved on to was red ochre, which is mined, and the Romans really loved it. And as it continued, it moved through, and they ended up finding something else. And this is what people know as the color vermilion.
Oh, okay.
The problem with vermilion is a little bit of science here that I think is pretty interesting, because actually I just found out about natural mercury not too long ago before I did this research. Vermilion comes from the mineral cinnabar. Well, cinnabar is actually oxidized mercury.
Oh.
And it's extremely toxic. Not to the touch, but how they had to process it. The way they processed it to extract it was crushed and heated up so that the mercury evaporated out.
Oh.
And so the Roman slaves that they had doing this job, because they were obsessed with this color, was they literally, that if you were sentenced to do this job, you were sentenced to death. Because you were just going to be inhaling the vapors, which is the thing. I do not absolutely recommend this, but we are the children of our times, and we used to have these little puzzles back in the day for any youngsters that had mercury in them. And if it broke, you could like roll it around in your hand, because we knew it was toxic, but they didn't. It's the vapors that come from it, not touching it. It's the inhalation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, under the proper scientific equipment, if you ever see people in videos who are ever handling it, they typically have gloves on, and if they don't, it's because they have the proper PPE face wear. Anyway, so moving through, in about the 1500s in Mexico, the Spanish landed, and they realized that the Mexican people had really, really beautiful, vivid red textiles.
Yeah.
And they found out that they were harvesting a type of a beetle from the meaty, fleshy part of the nopales cactus, and it's called a cochineal beetle.
Okay.
And for gardeners, they're a type of scaly pest, and they will harvest up these beetles and just crush them, let them die, dry up in the sun, and then they scrape them, and it is the most beautiful type of red.
I remember learning about that in school.
Probably.
It sounds very familiar. Either that or like at a museum or something.
And it's really funny because the area that we live in, there will be some front yards, and I'm like, look at that, and they are infested with the cochineal scale because
really?
it's probably was
Let's go crush
imported.
'em. No.
It was oh my god, we totally should, because it's a pest. It's killing the plant.
Yeah.
Near my daughter's old school is one of them, and I am friendly with the people that live in the house because they watched me walk her to school for 5 years every single day. We could ask them.
We should.
And we could totally try. It would be, because we're also going to make paper for you guys. We have some lists already of some of the, to try to recreate as much as we can would be really fun.
That would be.
It would be
We'll
really
get there
fun.
eventually.
Yes. So, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but we're going to go back a little bit. In these same times in Europe, the reason why they were jealous AF was because of the simple fact what their vivid red was from the madder plant.
Okay.
And I really meant to Google this, and I did not, but I think it's the Kermes plant. They're both plants, and I'll have pictures of them. I'll try to collage something together so I don't have like a million
pictures.
Yeah, but and it was the same process if you listen to my other color explanations of just mushing and mashing and squeezing color out. And the color that came out, it was red, but it was like muddy, murky-ish, reddish iron. Not beautiful, not like that.
Okay.
And so as time progressed, they realized that these cochineal beetles, they were able to be used in a multitude of things because they were odorless and flavorless. So
wait, the beetles?
Yes, the beetles
were flavorless?
Flavorless.
I don't think of a bug as flavorless.
Well, we have all eaten it.
What? And what? Is that where we get
natural red number 4?
What? Wait, red dye 40 or
nope,
4?
Number 4. It will be listed as natural red 4. And it is from carmine. If you've wore lipstick, you put carmine beetles on your mouth. And it's a very common colorant in a lot of things. One of the issues is that, I understand for the vegan community, they do not use it because it is the killing of a creature. And it is kind of sad, but
we're over here being like, let's go crush some bugs.
It is kind of, yeah. But yes, so it was used as food additives. It used to be used in Campari. I do think it is still used in Campari to give it that really beautiful red. I'm sorry, it's a liquor.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's a liqueur, and it's red, and I think it's pomegranate or cherry flavor or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And
I'm all
red.
like nodding my head like, I know what that is. No,
Most food up until not long ago was colored with natural red number 4.
Huh.
And I personally would rather take in that color because red number 40 is a byproduct of petroleum.
It's so bad.
And I know several people that are also very reactive.
That's my son, Lincoln. I swear, you give him anything with dye.
I'm sorry.
I hate it.
It's a byproduct of petroleum. Like, that's
we were talking about it was the yellow dye, yellow 20. I don't know, whatever it is.
In Mountain Dew, don't sue us. It's sorry.
And it's
allegedly
in pickles.
Yes.
And my son will plow through like a gallon of pickles, like the big dill pickles, and in that liquid they have that yellow dye. And we have so many pickle jars. I mean, probably 20 of them that I use because they're gallon jars. It's a good jar. And
it's a good box.
And it has this dye. And so
That's
I
crazy.
just switched over to like the Walmart brand that doesn't have the dye in it. They use like turmeric and stuff. Which I'm like, why do you need to put dye in stuff?
I know.
My
favorite brand are the Vlasic Purely Pickle. And because it's literally just a pickle in the brine. Like, it's not dill, it's not garlic, it's just, and they don't add any dye. And you see, probably because people are like, oh, it's like grayish clear. The green makes it, I don't think it's like a radioactive pickle.
We've made our own pickles before, and they're just not like lime green.
Exactly.
But what do we get? It's the
I don't know now
the
what
Mount,
we swap to.
the Mount Olive
That's what it was, right?
Yeah,
The
that's
green,
what we
the,
got. Yeah, but then I
yeah.
just switched to
Mhm.
that. But yeah,
I think
wish
you
they
switched to Great Value, like
yeah,
Walmart brand, right?
yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. So, but yeah, okay. So the red 4
Yes,
is
natural.
more natural.
Red number
Well, it
4.
is natural.
It is. It's from the
Okay.
cochineal beetle.
I learned something today.
Yeah. And the carmine colorant is really beautiful. I have a lot of natural pigments and a lot of mica pigments, and I don't have that one. But I honestly, I would much rather eat a beetle than some like crappy gas
Petroleum
byproduct.
yeah.
Gross. Like
Yeah.
that sounds horrific. Like just the thought is so gross. I'd rather eat a beetle. It's a flavorless and odorless. Don't get me started on vanilla extract.
I know. I was just thinking
The fake kind. Sorry. The fake kind.
Oh, the fake kind.
Yeah, the fake kind. But it's
Is
also
that the
fake
one that's
vanilla beaver
Yeah.
castoreum, which is beaver
Blech.
testicle juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I knew that one.
Yeah, it's not anymore.
Oh,
It's
okay.
to make people feel better. It is not anymore, but it was originally. Now they've been able to synthesize it differently, but it was originally. So that was the basis of the flavor. But I think I'm gonna check, but I think I don't remember. I don't know.
Man, we got to do like a whole
We're gonna
thing
do like
on
a weird,
just like
here we go.
yeah, scents,
Products.
flavors.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Like all of this just sounds like slander. It's not.
I know it's not. I do know. I
I
did
love
know
strawberry
about the
candy.
beaver stuff,
Yeah.
and then I did not know about the beetles.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
I have just a little couple fun facts.
Oh yay, my favorite.
So, babies, the first colors that they can see outside of the black and white scale is red. It's the very first color.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I had some baby toys.
And they
for
have like the
kids.
black, white, and then they have like big red spots or something.
Yes, yeah.
And just one other little one is people who suffer from traumatic brain injuries can actually get full temporary color blindness. And the first color that comes back is red.
That's crazy.
Ta-da!
Wow. Yay. That's so interesting.
Yeah, not bad. A little short. Like,
Yeah, that's fine. But it's like, you don't want to just keep rehashing the same thing that we've learned before, you know, of
and it's
colors. It's all
generally
the
same
the
thing.
same process. Yeah.
red got royalty. All the colors, they immediately took it because it was beautiful.
Yeah. that makes
Because it
sense.
was what was the best at the time. It was the hype. So they
Mhm.
wanted it. And it was expensive. So the more expensive it was, the more they wanted it. So it was the same
Mhm.
thing. Red became a symbol of like power, royalty. And so
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know purple, like we were talking about, definitely.
it's like royal purple, royal red, and royal blue.
Yeah.
They took them all.
Yeah.
Who took
'Cause they
royal
had-
yellow?
Yeah, I know. So,
I think I
Wow.
might cover yellow. I'm not sure. It's kind of not a lot. I could probably but I can get some dates, but it's basically like we
It's
just
the
said. It's like
same.
turmeric, yellow ochre, it's minerals, and if there was something, it's probably clay.
yeah.
I'm almost sure of it.
Yeah. Well, the first one, purple, was the shells, or not the
Mhm.
shells, the
snail,
snail.
juice.
Ew. And then blue was that an animal or creature?
Poison. No, it was
I can't remember.
right? I just did it and I'm like, I don't know.
I'm just trying
Who
to think of how many
knows?
creatures have to
Yeah.
like
No,
be involved in color making.
The
Because, you know,
blue,
you
no.
think of, like-
No, the blue was minerals.
Oh
A
yes,
lot of
that's right.
minerals.
That's right.
And plants.
Yeah.
But the plants weren't color fast.
Okay, that's right. So yeah, you
Because
think
blue
about
doesn't really exist a lot.
Mhm.
Oh, fun fact. I actually just found this out, fun. Okay. Blue jays are actually not blue.
Then what
no.
are they?
It is only a refraction of the light surrounding them. When you hold them up close, if you turn them around and you look around, their feathers are
What?
actually a translucent gray.
What?
Dude.
But they're so bright.
I know. I just found it out. It's a trick of the spectrum of light.
Oh my gosh, that's
Magic.
so crazy. When we were
I say
up,
it all the time. Nature is magic. Like,
Yeah.
that's magic. It's like a rainbow on their body makes them blue.
it is. That's crazy. When we went up to Lake Arrowhead and we got an Airbnb. Well, my parents got an Airbnb, and then we all just went. And there were so many blue jays up there. The windows were like perfect.
Oh,
You could
that's
see the
nice.
forest and the lake. There's so many blue jays flying around, and I had never seen that many in my life
Yeah.
before. It was so pretty. It's-
I barely have ever seen them. They're super rare. Like on
Go
the
up to Lake Arrowhead.
shout
they're all
out
over.
to the to the Merlin app
Oh,
that
yeah.
Cornell University put out. It's totally free to use, and you help them keep track of birds in your local area, because it's through Cornell University's ornithology department. And it'll show the birds like what is possible to be seen locally in your area that day, that exact day,
like the likelihood of you seeing them.
And so there's a few of them here, and I'm like, I've never seen, not that I can think of right off the top of my head, any type of the jays or bluebirds around here. Pretty inner city though.
But like I said, up in Arrowhead they had so many. I was just fascinated.
Awesome.
I would stand at the kitchen drinking my coffee or drinking my wine and like look outside, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's so pretty. I just want to bird watch. And that's all I did, really.
It's nice.
So anyways, me too. And you got a billion in your backyard right now. It's so cute.
They are super cute. They're just like, again, I use the Merlin app, and I found out they're just like little house finches and just regular finches, and they're so cute. And, little European house sparrows too.
They're so cute. So we'll just sit there and watch them eat.
They eat a lot.
Yeah,
it's
they
crazy.
do. They go
I
through
have
that whole
to
feeder
every single day. I have to feed it, fill it up every single night, which I don't mind, because I realize I have made them a resource that I have to continually resupply, because they're going to get lazy. And when winter comes, that's where they're going to come, is to the backyard.
So it's going to be so fun.
It's going to be really cute.
It's cute.
When everything around is all ugly and poopy, there's going to be cute little birds everywhere.
Birds
hopping around.
Okay, gotta bring
Bringing
us
it down.
I'm sorry.
Your hair is so pretty and curly right now.
Thanks. It's because I washed it. Okay, so as I had hinted, I am talking about a serial killer in Alaska. So, I don't know what happened. Okay.
That's okay.
My notes disappeared. Okay, so this starts in 2016. So on July 3rd, 2016 at 7:41, a 911 call came in. And the caller says she's on Ship Creek Trail, and there's 2 people laying down on the path, and she thinks that they're dead.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so she says there's blood coming out of their heads, and the guy for sure is dead, and that blood is coming out of the girl's head. So detectives arrived on scene and were able to quickly identify both victims because they both had their IDs on them. So there wasn't we don't know who these people are. So thankfully they were able to be identified. And they were identified as 41-year-old Jason Netter and 20-year-old Brianna Foisey. They were friends. And they were both living the transient lifestyle, so homeless, And so Jason loved nature and kind of enjoyed being a transient. He had recently, though, told his brother he was kind of thinking of changing up his lifestyle. I saw this on a show called See No Evil. It's on Discovery Plus, like most of my other shows. And so his sister talks, and she was saying she hadn't really talked to her brother, but her other brother had talked to him. And so that was the last time anyone heard from him before he was killed. Now, Brianna, 20 years old, sweet and bubbly. She actually enjoyed writing poetry and music and singing. And so these 2 people, there's really no reason. Like, why were these 2 people targeted? Why were they killed? It seemed so random. So detectives noticed that their bodies were still warm. So it must have just happened moments before the 911 call at 7:41. So both had been shot, once in the torso and then once in the head. And nothing appeared to be missing from either victim. So it looked random and unprovoked. There were also no shell casings at the scene. So this told detectives it was a revolver, because a revolver doesn't shoot out casings. There was a bullet actually found in a fence post nearby, so they collected it and sent it to ballistics.
Awesome.
So then they talked to the witness, and she says that, the witness, the 911 caller, she's the witness. She said that she was riding her bike on the bridge on Ship Creek Trail and had come across a man that said, "Hey, there's 2 dead bodies on the trail down there, so be careful." So she's like, what? So she rides her bike, and sure enough, she comes across the bodies and immediately calls 911.
That's so weird.
Yeah. And So, but unfortunately, she couldn't really describe what he looked like because she didn't really pay attention to what he looked like. You know, she's just riding her bike. And so she couldn't give them a description. There were no cameras on the trail. So they were trying to like look at areas around the trail to see if the suspect could be captured on surveillance, like going to or from the park or the trail.
Yeah.
And the Ship Creek area was actually really industrial, and there weren't like houses and stuff. Not really a lot of people around. And so about 1 or 2 blocks away, there was an electric company, and detectives noticed that there was a camera like on the corner that kind of pointed towards where people would be walking towards the trail. So they back up the camera a few minutes before because they figured it must have just happened. Their bodies were warm. So it was right around the time the 911 call came in. So they back up the camera a few minutes, and they see someone walking past the business, the electric company, towards the trail. And they could see this person was most likely a male, and he was wearing a bulky jacket and a hoodie or a hat, like covering his head, and he had a tan backpack. So the video was really grainy, and that's basically all that they could see. So the timeline matched up really well to the time that this person would have encountered the victims and then the witness.
Yes.
So they took a picture from the surveillance video and they distributed it to police in the area to keep an eye out for someone looking kind of matching some this description, and they sent it obviously into the media. And so detectives obviously had to contact the families and tell them what happened. And that's why I said, like, on the show, Jason's sister is talking, and she just talked about him, that he was sweet and loving. She had no idea who could do this, and she had actually never heard of Brianna until this. But so she knew that they were friends, and she said he most likely took her under his wing because she was so young. And that makes a lot of sense. He just seemed like an actual legitimate, like, nice guy. So,
and they had the relationship where he would have told her, I have a new girlfriend or something named Brianna or whatever.
Yeah, okay, probably.
So
no, it was
like, I don't know this girl. They just had to have been friends.
Yeah, they were friends, and I think people that were friends with them knew that, no, they were friends, and like, I think he did just take her under her wing and protect her because they were both homeless. And so anyways, so tips started to come in, but of course none of them really led to anything. And the families couldn't really help because, you know, they didn't really have regular contact.
Exactly.
You know, with
it's hard
them.
to keep track of.
Yeah. So ballistics came back that the gun used to shoot the victims was a Colt Python 367. So this is a big gun.
Yeah.
A big gun. And this was then entered into the nationwide database, but it was found to not match any other crime that occurred. So it was just like, okay, there's a crime. So since this looked like a completely unprovoked, like, murder, it's a huge threat to the public.
Right.
Because it was so random. So it's like, it's not a certain demographic or, you know, whatever. It was just, yeah. Well, then 28 days later, on July 29th, 2016, at 3:28 a.m., multiple 911 calls start coming in for multiple gunshots that were heard. So people are calling in, I heard gunshots. One of the callers said that a man had been shot and he's laying on his back and blood is coming out of the back of his head. So, and this shooting took place on Bolin Street. It was a total suburban neighborhood. And so detectives arrive and they find a young male lying on the road in front of a driveway, and there's blood like all around him. The male was identified as 21-year-old Trayvon Kendall Thompson. He was shot in the torso and the head. And there were no shell casings at the scene. So they're connecting this.
Okay.
And the shots have been very accurate, just like the shooting on the bike trail. So it's like looking...
It's like you're just walking past and shooting somebody?
Yeah.
It's weird.
So there were many houses that could have seen what happened, but the house that he was actually killed in front of had a surveillance camera. Right where he was shot. So the officers knocked on the door, but nobody answered. And so they knew we're going to have to get a search warrant. Now, Trayvon Kendall's mom was told what happened, and she told officers, of course, He's a good guy, nice guy. And as usual, like, who could do this to him? And she had said that he had actually just left her house on his bike to go to a relative's house. The very house he was shot in front of.
Oh.
And so later that day, detectives get the search warrant. And they go and take the surveillance system from the house. And so when they reviewed the footage, this is where it gets eerie. So they see someone come into the frame, like when I watched the video, because it shows it on there, and you can see this surveillance footage. Someone comes into frame at the top left walking, and all you can see are the legs.
Mm-hmm.
And based on the way the person's walking, you could tell it was a male. And then as the person is walking towards the right side of the screen, you can see that he's walking. He's got his hands inside of his jacket pockets. And then he immediately pulls out a gun from his right front pocket and starts shooting Trayvon Kendall.
Jeez.
They don't show that, obviously, but I audibly gasped when you see him pull the gun out and you see a muzzle flash. I have full,
I have
full body
quick. It's
chills
just so
right
fast.
now. It's so fast. I can't even imagine. I literally have goosebumps right now, just thinking about it again. But it happened that fast. So, there were multiple muzzle flashes seen on the video. And Trayvon Kendall was riding a bike. You know, he rode his bike, but there was no bike there.
He stole his freaking bike?
You see the man, after he shoots him, put the gun back into his jacket pocket and pull the bike out from underneath
Oh my gosh.
Trayvon Kendall's body.
So he can get away fast.
And he just casually goes off.
It's not even
like
fast.
Nothing happened.
Not even fast.
Yeah. Oh no.
That's so sad
It
and
really
gross.
is.
It's like that.
I
like the insult to injury. Like, hey, this is a cool bike. I'm just gonna fucking take it.
Yeah.
And I'm not even gonna go fast.
No, just like
doesn't care.
Just like, here, I'm gonna take this and bye.
Oh my goodness.
And I literally
I kind of do too.
I have chills.
Gross.
I have the image burned into my head.
Yeah.
Of the video, and it's very disturbing. So what is interesting and a little haunting is, as you know, the house that had the surveillance camera was a relative of his. And Trayvon Kendall had actually just fixed that security system and didn't, it's crazy to think that he fixed it and then it caught his whole homicide.
The murder of him.
Yes. And so, oh my God.
But I know, me too. But I guess at the same time, I'm like, well, thank goodness, I guess.
Yes.
It helped.
Yeah, he just helped fix it, and then it was caught.
Because if it was turned off, it would have been.
I don't think it was working.
Yeah.
So thankfully it was, because he fixed it. So, obviously, this homicide is similar to the last one. Same type of gun was used, and there is no reason for the shooting. And of course, the surveillance video is too grainy to make out a face, but detectives are able to see that the suspect is a taller person with tan pants and a dark jacket. And the person looked very similar to the person that they caught on surveillance near the Ship Creek Trail. And so, they're canvassing the neighborhood, and detectives actually found a couple of teenage girls that had seen the suspect that night.
With or without the bicycle?
No, the suspect.
I
think, no, walking.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Not on the bicycle. Okay. So they were brought in for questioning, and they said that they looked out the window and saw a man, and they said he was tall and had scraggly long hair, and he was wearing a camouflage jacket, a cap, and worker boots. So they were actually able to help create a composite sketch of what this guy looked like. So this sketch, along with a picture of Trayvon Kendall's bike, was circulated through the media. And meanwhile, the bullet from Trayvon Kendall's body was gathered at autopsy and sent to ballistics. And, of course, it was determined to be from the same gun that was used on Jason Netter and Brianna Foisey. So detectives now know they have a serial killer on the loose. And this is all in Anchorage, Alaska. I said Alaska. Yeah, this is in Anchorage, Alaska. So all of the victims were random. There's no pattern or connection. They're not connected. So people started calling in tips, but none of them really led anywhere. And then Trayvon Kendall's mom called in a tip. And she said that she saw a man on what she thought was her son's bike.
Oh, gosh.
Riding into a wooded area. And this wooded area was where some homeless encampments or, homeless camps are set up.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was actually just a few blocks away from where Trayvon Kendall was murdered. So officers go out to the area and they find a man in a tent with a bike next to it. It looks just like Trayvon Kendall's bike. And in a tree stump, like in the stump just a few yards away from the tent, they find a revolver. So they bring him in for questioning. And during questioning, detectives realize that the man has absolutely no idea what they're talking about.
Oh, wow.
And this man that they brought in was actually an ex-police officer from New York. And he had quit his job, left law enforcement, and just lives off the grid in Alaska.
Oh, wow.
So detectives decide to step out, take another look at the video of the shooting, and they notice that the shooter held out his arm straight while firing a gun. And this is not something an officer would do. Ex-officer, you learn how to shoot a gun the proper way. You're not going to hold one arm out and just shoot. So an officer would do what's called a weaver stance, where both arms are out in front of you in a triangle, both hands on the gun. So, and then ballistics came back, and the gun that they found in the tree stump near the man's tent was not a Colt Python. And it was so rusty that it likely hadn't been used for several years. So not the murder weapon.
He's just bringing it around with him.
And the bike they took was, I don't even think it was his gun. I think it was just left there. He didn't even know it was there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But the bike that they, took from him thinking it was Trayvon Kendall's bike, it's not the same bike.
Yeah.
This bike had curved handlebars, and Trayvon Kendall's had straight ones. And
curved. That was old.
It was
school.
Similar color.
Yeah.
And so you could see from far away, it probably does look like it. It was a yellow orange bright bike. So with all of this, the man's cleared as a suspect and he's let go. 1 month later, on August 28th, 2016, at 1:43 a.m., a 911 call came in. And the caller says she was in the park of the Valley of the Moon, and she found, I know, I was like, that's a really cool park name. And she had found a man lying on the ground. Oh, excuse me. She said he had blood on him, and she tried to check his pulse, and she doesn't think he's breathing, and he's just not moving. So detectives arrive on the scene, and the lieutenant on the scene that was there before detectives arrived say, I think we have another one of your cases.
Oh, no.
And the victim was found to have a gunshot wound in the back. He had been riding his bike, and the bike was actually still, he was still holding on to the bike when he fell.
So he didn't take this one's bike?
No.
That's good. It's so rude. That's so sad.
I know. It's like you said, insult to injury. So no, the bike was still basically attached to him.
Yeah.
And then officers lead detectives over to another body. And it's a man. He's sitting at a picnic table, so face down on the picnic table. And he had socks in his hands and his shoes were off. So it looked like he was just changing his shoes. And the 911 caller actually knew the victim that was on the bike. She identified him as 25-year-old Bree D. Husson. So Bree was an environmental activist and well-liked in the community. And the second victim was identified by his ID as Kevin Turner, and he had lived on the streets, but he had no criminal activity. He was just lived on the streets. And also, there were no shell casings at the scene. Everything looks so similar to the last two cases. It's random, unprovoked. It has to be the same guy. We all can, deduct that. There were, of course, no cameras and no houses within eyesight, so they knew there was not going to be any surveillance. Ballistics came back that the bullet matched the same gun from the last two cases. All 5 homicides were now officially connected. So a $10,000 reward was announced for any information that can lead to finding the suspect. Close to 180 tips came in, but none of them led anywhere. Then, 2.5 months later, on November 12th, 2016, at 4:34 a.m., a call came in from a police sergeant that there had been an officer-involved shooting. The officer was seriously injured, but was alive and was being transported to the hospital. The officer who got shot was Officer Salau, and he had actually caught the entire confrontation on his dash cam. It reminds me of that. It reminded me of that show that we've been watching of like the body cam. Yeah. So it's, once again, I'm like getting chills because it is chilling. So earlier that evening, officers, like, they got a call that a female had been dropped off by a taxi driver and didn't pay. So it was cab fraud. So officers were patrolling around the area looking for her. And Officer Salau came up on a man walking. And so he wanted to just stop him and ask him if he saw the female matching her description. And so this is where the video starts. And it is chilling because you see this man walking.
Yeah.
Officer, you know, he kind of pulls up, turns on the lights to notify him. And the guy just keeps walking. And he's like, you know, hello, sir, you know, whatever. So then he gets back in his patrol car, you know, and he's following
up.
following next to this guy. And he gets on his megaphone and tells the man, this is the Anchorage police. You need to stop. And he says it a few times. And he's just driving slowly next to him. Suddenly, the man turns around.
Oh, God, here we go.
He has both hands in his pockets, walks towards the driver's side, and then opens fire on Officer Salau as he tries to exit his car. Salau had actually tripped while getting out of his car and fell into the ground. And as he was on the ground, he was being fired at. But thankfully, he was quick enough to be able to retrieve his own firearm and return fire. And he actually shoots the man in the head.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So kills him. So Salau survives the shooting, but the suspect dies. And the whole encounter happened so fast that, like, the gunfire only lasted a few seconds.
Yeah.
Officer Salau was shot 6 times.
Oh, gosh.
And when ballistics comes back with the results from this shooting, it is confirmed that the gun matches all 5 homicides. The suspect was identified as 40-year-old James Dale Ritchie. He was a bit of a wanderer, but he lived in Anchorage for most of his life, or for a while at least. He had some mental illness issues that his roommate said he noticed. His roommate said that James thought he could change the weather and decide who lives and dies. And James matches the description, and the sketch is very similar. So detectives get a search warrant for his residence, and in his closet they find a box of shell casings. There were 18 shell casings total. The same exact number of shell casings that match up with the number of bullets shot in all 5 homicide victims.
So he was just taking them home and keeping them.
He kept them. Yeah. So he had shot a total of 18 during those 5 homicides. One of the so this one detective talking theorized that, like, why, you know, it's why would he do this? So one of the detectives said that, like, during the time The Walking Dead was like a big thing, and this is 2016, so it's not that, well, it is kind of a while ago, but so he was just saying, like, maybe he thought he was, you know, walking around killing zombies, but, like, I don't know. But what's also really chilling is when detectives are watching that video back, when he turns around, when he's being followed, they pause it. The guy is wearing a cap, camo jacket, work boots. But they don't know. I don't think the officer was thinking, oh, this is the guy we're looking for. I don't think it was that. So he's just thinking, I'm going to stop this guy. But shot. He lived. And yeah, so we, you know, there's no real reason. There isn't. I mean,
when is there ever? But
no,
not that they were able to come to.
It's so random.
Yeah.
And so there really is no true motive or reason why he killed Jason Netter, Brianna Foisey, Trayvon Kendall Thompson, Bree D. Husson, Kevin Turner, and then attempted to murder Officer Salau. But he's dead, you know, and
That's
it's
crazy.
all the evidence is pretty irrefutable that it was him.
Yeah.
He was the serial killer. So
oh my goodness.
I had never heard of this case until I started researching it. So it's disturbing.
You did a good job.
Thanks. So until next time, stay crafty
And not crimey.
Bye.